With respect to the interchange fee, I mean, this is a battle between two kinds of businesses: banks, who generally want the capped fee to be higher, and retailers and merchants who want the capped fee to be lower. This is still a new enough federal policy affecting debit cards, but not yet credit cards, that I think the right answer to figuring out what the fee structure should be is to let it play out for a while and see what its effects are. That will give us the kind of information that we'll need to know to make a decision about whether the policy should be changed. Generally, Dodd-Frank was needed to avert the fiscal collapse that has dramatically affected the United States economy in 2008. You know, we'd been through up and down cycles since the 1930s, but we hadn't had a fiscal collapse. And I think we had a fiscal collapse for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons was the decision by Congress to make a lot of financial transactions subject to no review. Derivatives and other kinds of transactions that completely were carved out. And it was often those kinds of transactions that brought the financial system down. As a general matter, I think the right strategy is not to increase regulation of transactions that were already getting reviewed, but instead go into transactions that were given the carve-outs that led in many cases to the financial collapse, and make sure that there's a reasonable oversight of those transactions. I think Dodd-Frank approaches that in some ways that are positive. I have a concern about Dodd-Frank, and that one of the areas that they're really trying to deal with was some of the bad practices of big financial institutions, and in trying to regulate those, I think there may be a downstream effect on community banks and close to the people lending institutions that weren't at all part of the fiscal collapse. So one of the things I'd like to do in the Senate is to really dig into these regulatory issues and make sure that the banks and institutions that weren't part of any wild or exotic activities that didn't lead to the fiscal collapse still have the ability that they need to make loans to businesses in order to grow the economy.